What's up, everybody? Good morning and welcome to The Sweat presented by DraftKings Sportsbook. I'm Jesse Cofield, sitting here at the desk along with DraftKings contributors Steve Buchanan and VSiN's Josh Applebaum. Guys, we got a lot to get to today. If you're new here, though, every Sunday we get our analysts to give their best bets of the week. And before we get this week's, I want to take a look back and see how it's gone throughout the season. So here's where we stand through 10 weeks. Steve is still perfect, my God. Last week, the Giants -5, they did cover. Josh, last week you got the W. Chargers 49ers went under 49.5. And Julian Edlow, it was the Steelers -115. Wow, what a time to be alive. So I just want to say really quick, Unreal Steve has a perfect record. Very impressive. And combined, you guys have a win percentage of like 75%. So
pretty wild.
Yeah, you guys are doing very well. Can you keep it going, though? Can they keep it going? Let's find out. Well, actually, before we do that, let's look at some trends. How about that? So maybe this will help inform your decision, not like your decision's already made. All right, so for this week, some trends to watch for Week 11. New England has covered the spread by at least 10 points in 4 of its last 6 games versus the Jets. They're -3.5 today. Philly at Indiana, the over 6-1 in Philly's last 7 games versus a team with a losing record. The Colts do have a losing record. Chicago get 91% of the handle, 83% of the bets. And then 71% of the bets are on Cincy, but 53% of the handle is on Pittsburgh at +4. Very interesting. All right, let's do this thing, like I said, and see if you guys can keep that fantastic winning record going. Steve, you're up first, and your perfect record's on the line.
Right.
No pressure.
And I kind of feel like I hope I'm not trending in the direction that the Eagles win, because then all of a sudden there was a shocking loss that happened here. But I'm on the public side here with the Bears at +3 going up against the Falcons. If we remember how this season began, the Falcons were like the against the spread darlings when it came to the betting world, going 6 straight games, undefeated, and now it's been anything since that's happened there. They failed to cover in 4 straight games, now only winning 1 of those games outright, and they actually failed to cover in that game there that they won that game outright. So there's a lot of things here that I like for the Bears. Neither of these teams are very strong against the run. So we're going to see a lot of running in this game. Now, no Khalil Herbert for the Bears. That means a lot of Justin Fields, a lot of David Montgomery. Like that for the Bears. I think this is going to be a game that we're going to see a lot of offense going back and forth here. But in the end, I just think this Bears team, and I've said this before on the show, this Bears team is just completely different from what we saw through the first couple of weeks of the season here. You love what you see from Justin Fields. He's not going to get a lot of pressure on him from the Falcons, so I think there's just a lot of boxes that the Bears check off, whereas the Falcons are, you know, they're doing their part. They're getting the points up there, but they're not like this team that can beat you in so many ways, where the Bears are starting to kind of emerge as that team, whether it's through the air or on the ground. So I think the Bears have the advantage in this one. So +3, I just think that's a gift at this point. I think the wrong team is favored in this one.
Oh, okay. Perfect record on the line. Josh, where are you going? You don't have a perfect record, but you're still doing pretty well.
Yeah, I'm trying to catch up to this guy. It's hard to do, though. He keeps winning here. And I would say 75%, that's really incredible here. So shout out to the crew. 52.38%, that's what you got to get to break even and overcome standard -110 juice. So 75%. See, what I love about sports betting is the challenge. When you're hot, it's a challenge to stay hot. When you're struggling, it's a challenge to get back in the green. So again, another big day today. One quick mention with Steve's play. I like that, Steve. Juiced up. Even though it's public, it's +3, -115. It looks like it may get down to 2.5. So 3 is probably your best number. Yep. Jesse, I'm going to go the other way, though. I'm going to take a dog as well. Give me the Pittsburgh Steelers today. Steelers really have caught my eye. This game actually opened Cincinnati laying like -5 on the road, 5.5 even. You're down to 3.5. Yesterday it was at 4, so you've seen continued movement throughout the week toward the Steelers, including this reverse line move, which is basically the public is on Cincy, yet the line is going to the Steelers. They're only getting 34% of bets, but almost half the money. Divisional dogs, that's one thing I really look toward if you're betting a dog. Play a dog inside the division. You have a lot of familiarity against your opponent. Divisional dogs this year, Jesse, 64% against the spread. They've covered quite a bit. Mike Tomlin has a dog, 65% ATS. Also, Brad Allen is a ref here that really leans toward home teams, 57% against the spread. No Jamar Chase, TJ Watt's back. Minka Fitzpatrick's going to play. I like the points here. You know, you would have loved the 4.5. Obviously, that number's now gone, but I love this continued movement toward Pittsburgh. Also, Cincy 0-3 in the division. They've struggled in division games. Give me the Steelers +3.5 today.
All right, and Julian's pick, he's not here, but we got it.
He's back one week, and then he takes off the next.
He's gone again. Wow, and he's being really brave. He's taking the Saints minus 2.5. Rams missing 4 of their 5 linemen and their only real weapon in Cooper Kupp, and Matt Stafford is back from concussion protocol. So really brave of him.
I mean, the team is in shambles,
Yeah.
to be fair. So if you told me this a few weeks ago that you were going to take the Saints as favorites, by the way, I'd probably say you're absolutely insane. But with the way the Rams have played thus far, even though the Saints are also missing some key guys, don't
Yeah.
hate it.
Yeah. So thanks, Julian. We appreciate that. All right. Coming up next, Bills and Browns game has been moved to Detroit due to a huge storm hitting Buffalo this weekend. We're going to get into the impact of that move, one of which is that Emerson Lotzie is here and not in Buffalo. Plus, we're going to dive into some other storylines worth watching as the sweat presented by DraftKings Sportsbook continues.
DraftKings Sportsbook is an official sports betting partner of the NFL, and this week, new customers can bet $5 on any team and pocket $200 in free bets if their moneyline bet wins. Download the app and use the promo code SWEAT when you sign up.
Hey, you are watching The Sweat. I'm Jesse Cofield, and I am joined by VSiN's Josh Applebaum and DraftKings contributor Steve Buchanan. And I want to talk to you guys about what you are sweating. So what storylines maybe have you second-guessing yourselves, maybe sweating it out a little bit before you place any bets? So guys, the Browns, they were supposed to be visiting Buffalo this weekend, okay? A huge snowstorm, massive, we're talking like 6.5 feet or something, forced the league to move the game to Detroit. Buffalo, 7.5-point favorite in this one, but it had been up to 9.5 before the news of the move came in. So does the fact that this game is actually being played on like a neutral field, does it change anything for the way that you're going to be approaching this one, Steve?
No, not really. I mean, if anything, like this is actually now you're getting a better number for Buffalo because essentially where this is at is like it's almost kind of where it was at before the venue change here. Now they're in a controlled environment. They don't have to deal with any of the elements here. Not that really would have mattered because these are two cold weather teams to begin with. So it's not like either team was going into something that they're not used to here. The difference here for me, though, is that like if you look at last week, Minnesota's offense can keep up with Buffalo. I don't think you can say the same about Cleveland, too. When you look at somebody like Amari Cooper, who has the most ridiculous home road splits I think I've seen in the NFL. If you look at, he has 52 targets at home, through 5 games. Somehow only has 17 targets when he's on the road in 4 games. Do they just forget about this guy when they go on the road? I don't know what happens here. But if you're taking out literally one of their best options through the air, I think Buffalo should absolutely mash in this spot. So if you're going to be betting this one here, you're getting a better number on Buffalo than if they were in Buffalo. And again, if we're talking about ideal situations, you have to give the plus to Buffalo here.
Yeah, Josh, one of the things you can read on here, Cleveland 0-4 against the spread in their last 4 games on turf. That's certified bad.
Yeah, definitely bad. Haven't covered these numbers. And I would say pro tip real quick, check your house rules. If you had bet this game earlier in the week, this venue change does change it up how these different books are going to grade it. It does change my kind of view on this game. Number one, I think Buffalo is going to come out red hot, Steve and Jesse, because you fumble at the goal line, Josh Allen. You have a lot to prove. You're probably not feeling great after losing that Vikings game. One thing I would look toward, though, is maybe the under, the change here. And also, by the way, what if some bettors middled this game, guys? If you got a low water mark of over 41.5 when we thought this was going to be a snowstorm, now it's back up to 50 now that it's in a dome. Imagine if you got the over 41.5, under 50. That is a massive middle, and that's one way that a lot of sharps target these games so that you can land in anywhere in that middle and cash both bets. But I look toward the over, guys. Cleveland 6-2-1 to the over. Public's actually still leaning under this in this game, about 65%, yet we've seen this line really rise. As soon as it was announced that this game's going to be in Detroit, you saw the total jack up all the way to like 48.5. Now it's around 50, so I'd lean a little bit over. Again, really seen a lot of these Browns games go over this year.
All right, guys. Well, Ford Field was available for the Bills-Browns because the Lions are at the Meadowlands this week taking on the Giants. So thanks to the Eagles' loss to the Commanders on Monday night, the New York Football Giants are just a game behind in the NFC East. The New York 3-point home favorites here. Do you think they'll take care of business in this spot, keep the pressure on Philly, or could they get caught looking past the Lions at a key divisional matchup in Dallas next week? What do we think, Steve?
No, I think the Giants should be able to take care of the Lions in this one here. I mean, we see these teams, both these teams, really getting a lot of shootouts here, and that's because of how porous their defense has been. But there's one thing that Daniel Jones shouldn't be dealing a lot with in this game, and it's really been his downfall, is when he's being pressured. You look at the numbers that he has, he's been one of the most pressured quarterbacks in the league. About 44% of his dropbacks, he's been under pressure. He's going to get minimal pass rushing pressure in this game from the Lions, who have one of the worst in the league. And that's an advantage for Jones because when he's not under pressure and he's working with a clean pocket, he has a 71% completion rate on the season, just over 7 yards per pass attempt here. And against this secondary, who has just been one of the worst in the league, one of the best to target against, this should be a great game for him and a huge spot here for Saquon Barkley. There's just a lot of boxes that the Giants are checking off here, so I like them here as the favorites against the Lions.
You like them too, Josh?
So here's the thing. I think when you bet the NFL throughout the week, week to week throughout the year, there are teams that sometimes there's sharp moves against them and it doesn't matter. They still win. They still cover. To me, the Giants are a team that this year they've been hard to cap because a lot of times they're the public play. They're getting a big majority of bets.
They've been
they
lucky
cover
too.
Exactly, and they just keep covering. So it's difficult for me because on the one hand, the eye test says, yeah, Giants should take care of business here, but the line did open. Giants laying 4, got down to 3. Obviously, 3 is your best number here. It is juiced up, it may get back to 3.5. So I would probably lean Detroit in the points here, but again, the Giants have been proving me wrong pretty much every week, Steve.
All right, guys, maybe the most interesting game of the weekend, Cowboys at the Vikings. Dallas coming off a game where they gave up a 2-touchdown lead, lost in Green Bay. Meanwhile, the Vikings rallied back from an incredible 2-touchdown half-down deficit to win in OT against the Bills. Cowboys are actually currently 1.5-point road favorites. So are the Vikings still being disrespected here, despite that 8-1 record? We've talked about it a lot. Are they the most disrespected 8-1 team in the league? Or do the Cowboys deserve to be the favorite here, Steve?
I do think the Cowboys should be the favorites here because, we could easily be talking about the Vikings coming off a heartbreaking loss against the Bills last week. I talked about pressure in that game against the Giants. I'm going to talk about it here. The Vikings are going up against the best pass rushing team in the league, probably with the exception of the Steelers. Now we have Kirk Cousins, who really does not do well under pressure. He's going to be feeling a ton of it in this game going up against the Cowboys here. We saw it too. The Cowboys are great as favorites this season against the spread, 3-1 against the spread, covering by an average of just under 7 points here. So I think this is a really good spot here for the Cowboys. It's it's basically almost a pick 'em at this point here. If we're going to go with the two teams, I'm going to take the side with Dallas.
Where are we going, Josh?
This is one of my favorite plays of the day. I was actually having a hard time to decide between the Steelers and the points and the Cowboys here, and this is one of my favorite angles. Fade the trendy dog. dogs are typically getting most value when the public thinks they have no shot. Obviously, this is a play here where the public is all over Minnesota. When a dog becomes really popular and becomes trendy, those are the dogs I like to bet against. So this game actually opened at a pick'em. We've seen the Cowboys get up to -2. Steve, yesterday they were 1.5, so late movement is still going Cowboys here. This one just makes no sense because you're getting about 65, 70% of bets here on the Vikings, yet this line keeps going to the Cowboys. I think it's a money line play here on the Cowboys. You can save the juice and lay the 2, Jesse, but I'll just go money line like -125. I think it's a really sharp play. Pro tip, if a line makes no sense, I typically want to be on the side that doesn't make any sense. Give me the boys in this one.
Ooh, okay, good stuff, guys. Thank you. And in case you have been living under a rock, Thanksgiving is coming up this week, so we're going to complement your main course of Sunday football with the best props on the menu this week. That is coming up next when The Sweat, presented by DraftKings Sportsbook, continues. Welcome back to The Sweat, presented by DraftKings Sportsbook. Josh and Steve here with me. We have some very important stats for you to look at over here. Yes, that's right. The definitive ranking of Thanksgiving side dishes. And I say ranking because my name came up first, and gravy is obviously the best thing that there is. Emerson went with Aunt Colleen's mac and cheese. I'm assuming he has an Aunt Colleen.
I would hope so.
I don't know. Josh, you're going with mashed potatoes, a classic. Steve, mashed sweet potatoes, also a classic.
Make sure that's
and
right.
Julian Edlow hates Thanksgiving.
Come on.
If I knew that was an option, that's what I would have picked too, because Thanksgiving is not something I can say on this show.
Okay, but I'm just saying, like, you could still pick a food. That's so Julian to just be like, I hate Thanksgiving.
Well, he doesn't show up to work.
Yeah,
so
and
it's
he's just not
par
even
for the
gonna.
course.
But obviously, gravy's the best one, and
Sure.
that's on that. So in that spirit, guys, it's the Thanksgiving season, and everyone talks about turkey, right? So we all know the sides are the best part. As we can see, we picked our favorite sides. So here on the final Sunday before Turkey Day, we thought we'd offer up some main courses for you. Okay, that would be the matchups this week, and you guys are going to offer us some sides or props. Do you get it? So let's get started
Very
here.
creative.
Do you get it? You guys get it? All right, we're going to get started with Eagles Colts. So Philly, 7-point road favorites coming off their first loss. Jeff Saturday's squad looking to go 2-0. Jeff Saturday, what a man. Would you guys please pass the props for the Eagles Colts? Steve, yeah, pass the props.
So I was actually debating, this was almost going to be my best bet for the week. We'll see if that's going to come back to bite me or not. But I love the Eagles on the first half spread at -3.5 here. Indy is tied for the first worst record on the first half, 1-9 against the spread in the first half there. Eagles have the second best record in that scenario, going 7-2. They have Matt Ryan under center. Like, I'm still trying to process this on why this was the right answer here. But you want to talk about like food and stuff? Matt Ryan is going to get eaten alive in this game by the Eagles pass rush. That's going to be the biggest problem for the Colts in this one here. And don't forget, Matt Ryan is still second in the league in fumbles. He was benched for a couple of games, and he still tops in the league in fumbles. He can't control the ball. He's a statue back there when the pass rush is coming. They're going to get eaten alive here. Eagles get off to a hot start after the bad loss last week. That's the play right there in this one.
All right, Josh, what's the play?
So I'm rooting for the first half play here for Steve, but I'll be going actually Colts +7 in this one. Some books are down to 6.5 here. It is a short week playing on Monday Night Football and then turning around and going on the road. Big popular play here toward the Eagles. Public says, hey, you have a hiccup there against the Commanders. You're just going to roll and get back to business here today. But this line opened as high as like some look aheads like -10. You're all the way down to 7. Some books are down to 6.5. So I'd lean a little bit here if you can find a 7 still with the Colts. But for my side dish, Jesse, Jonathan Taylor, he's back. He's healthy. This is his third game. He missed a ton of time here. He played last week for the first time in a while here, had a great game. His prop is 87.5 rushing yards here. I'll take the over. He had 147 last week. He had full participation in practice throughout the week. He's looking good, ready to go. And also Philly, they look like a juggernaut here, but they're actually 20th in the NFL in yards per game allowed rushing. They average they give up like 125 a game. So my side dish would be, give me Taylor, over 87.5 yards.
All right, well, we've got an entertaining divisional matchup. Bengals traveling to Pittsburgh to take on the Steelers. Cincy favored by 4. But Josh, what's a good prop to really add some flavor to this matchup?
So I was looking at the bad offensive line of the Bengals, which I thought would be a lot better. They devoted a lot of their draft capital trades offseason to improving that line. We remember in the Super Bowl where Joe Burrow just got hit so many times in that game. But really, they haven't gotten much better. They're still giving up some of the most, actually Burrow's the second most sacked quarterback in the league, 30 sacks this year. So props, I think typically we look for offensive players. I'll go defensive. TJ Watt's back. He's ready to go here. He's actually -190 to have at least a more than a quarter of a sack. So he needs basically a half sack here. I know it's a big minus number, -190, but I'll take it. I think he gets the Burrow. I'll go at least a half sack for TJ Watt today.
All right, Steve, serve us up a delicious side.
Yeah, I like T. Higgins to go over 73.5 receiving yards in this one here. He primarily lines up on the right side of the field, so that means in coverage. He's mostly going to be seeing Levi Wallace. Now, he's only allowed a 57% reception rate on the year, but on those receptions, over 15 yards per reception. So they've been getting deep downfield when they are catching it against Wallace. You see T. Higgins, he's been averaging about 11 yards per target when he's getting targeted thus far. And of course, no Jamar Chase has seen 13 targets with Chase out of the mix in the last 2 games that they played here. So I think this is a huge spot for Higgins against a very porous Steelers secondary. So give me Higgins to go over 73.5 yards.
All right, guys, real quick. Ravens, 13-point favorites at home against the Panthers. Obviously, big number here, but is there a prop maybe on the Carolina side that you could take advantage of here, Steve?
Nope, I'm just going to go right with the Ravens and the team total here, over 26.5 points. This feels like a number that they can do. They're averaging that overall on the season, so just have to go over the average here. They've scored 27 points in 2 straight games now. Carolina averaging 24 points per game, allowing, but the last 3, 31.3. Give me the Ravens to go over their team total.
Where you going, Josh?
He may not be a household name. Deontay Foreman, though. I really like this running back here for Carolina. He's gone over 100 yards in 3 of his last 4 games. His over-under is 56.5. Give me the over. It's juiced up -130.
Okay, good stuff. And since we just talked about the Ravens, what better time to remind our Maryland-based viewers that DraftKings is coming to your state. And if you live in Maryland, sign up for DraftKings today, and you'll receive $200 in free bets after registering. But up next, we look at some more of the interesting bets on the board for Week 11, and we're going to explore our Sunday specials when the sweat presented by DraftKings Sportsbook returns.
DraftKings Sportsbook is an official sports betting partner of the NFL, and this week, new customers can bet $5 on any team and pocket $200 in free bets if their moneyline bet wins. Download the app and use the promo code SWEAT when you sign up.
Final edition of this Sunday Sweat presented by DraftKings Sportsbook. Jesse Cofield, VSiN's Josh Applebaum, DraftKings Steve Buchanan. Guys, it is Sunday specials time, okay? So these two are going to give me their favorite, like parlays, promos, other fun bets that you can find on the DK Sportsbook. It's one of our favorite times of the week, right? Yeah. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Sure.
Let's have some fun. Steve, hit us with your Sunday special.
Okay. You can bet on the highest scoring team and the lowest scoring team on a given week. I'm going to take the lowest scoring team, the Jets, at plus 750. The Jets have averaged just 12 points per game with Zach Wilson against the Patriots in the 3 games that they played. Now, to be fair, Wilson threw a career-high 355 yards the last time that he faced the Patriots, but then even with that, in those games, he's averaging just over 200 passing yards, a 53% completion rate, and 7 interceptions in 3 games. I think it's going to be another low-scoring game for the Jets. Give me them as the lowest-scoring team at plus 750.
All right, Josh, what is your Sunday special?
My Sunday special is Justin Fields. I'm really loving what I'm seeing out of Justin Fields. This is a guy that the Bears traded up to get in the draft. I think if you redraft last year's draft, he's got to be, going up earlier in the draft. I think he's a guy that's really you're happy about if you're a Bears fan. And I found a prop here on the DraftKings Sunday special. Justin Fields, 100-plus rushing yards and at least 1 rushing touchdown. It's plus 450, so a decent payout here. And Justin Fields, again, you've been loving what you've seen from him recently. He rushed for 147 last week, 178 the week before. He's had 4 straight games with a rushing touchdown. So this guy's getting it done, not just passing, but really his running has been unbelievable here. He's going up against the Falcons, who have given up 120 rushing yards a game. So they've been pretty porous here defensively. Also, you look at this game, it'll be played in a dome, so you don't have to worry about weather or anything like that. Also, the total's 48.5, pretty high total, expecting some points here. Chicago's 4-1 to the over their last 4. I expect Justin Fields to have a really big day today. Give me the 100-plus rushing yards, one or more rushing TD, plus 450, Jesse.
Okay. Steve, do you like Justin Fields in this spot?
Love Justin Fields.
I
I like
feel
the
like-
Bears to win.
I feel like we just got, I'm sold. I'm sold on your Sunday special, Josh. You're always coming at us with a lot of facts here. All right, that is all the time that we have for this week. We're going to keep the show going over on the DK social channels, though. YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, etc. We will be back on your TVs next Sunday at 11 a.m. Eastern, though, so we'll see you then.
All right, welcome back to The Sweat, everybody. I am Emerson Lazio. We'll return to the DK Sportsbook side of things coming up in just a little bit, where we'll dish out some best bets. Going to have a good time doing that. But right now, we're going to help you guys and gals build some money-making lineups on DraftKings, because once again, we got a Millie Maker available. $3 million in prizes up for grabs. $1 million to the winner. Steve Buchanan, you agree? come on in, because I need to talk to you a little bit. And Jeff Ulrich is here as well. He's joining us virtually. Let's build some incredible lineups. Hey, Jeff, good to see you, man. So this is Price Check. You guys know the drill. This is how we start the second half hour every week here on a Sunday edition of The Sweat. So, Jeff, you're going with the dude who, I don't know. I guess $5,500. You wouldn't really think to roster this guy a whole lot.
Well, that's the whole premise. I mean,
Quarterback,
Marcus Mariota, right? Like, where is everyone looking in this game? They're looking at Justin Fields. Justin Fields now at 7,600. I get it. I mean, Fields is fine. He's obviously doing great things with his legs. But, I mean, Mariota can also do great things with his legs. And you look at the Bears' defense, they've been really weak against rushing quarterbacks. Dak Prescott, 34 yards and a touchdown. Daniel Jones, over 60 yards and 2 touchdowns against them. This has not been a team. This is just not a good, strong linebacker core that the Bears have. I think Mariota in this game has a lot of potential for just getting off as a rusher. He's averaging about 6.5 rush attempts, over 34 yards per game. He's averaged 18.5 DK fantasy points over his last 4 starts as well. Like, that is not bad for a quarterback who's only 5,500. He's shown his upside as well. He's got good targets. Everyone's expecting the Bears offense to put Atlanta on their back a bit. It's going to be more dropbacks for Mariota. I think it's a good way to start a lineup, because there's a lot of studs this week that I think are worth paying up for. So go to the other side of this game and go with Marcus Mariota to start at 55.
Yeah, Steve's going with one of those studs too, because Carolina gave up some yards to Marcus Mariota on the ground last week, so Lamar Jackson should absolutely feast.
Well, first and foremost, happy Shark Week to all who celebrate with Jeff Ulrich's shirt.
That's
there.
beautiful. Is that like supposed to be the ocean or water?
Yes, sure.
Okay, well, you look awesome.
Shark Week. It happens in November now. But I'm going with Lamar Jackson here. Obviously, this game is one of the biggest totals we have on the board here. The Ravens are 13.5-point favorites here. But if there's a quarterback that can still be relevant even in these type of blowouts is Lamar Jackson, who obviously doesn't need to do with the passing, can do it with his legs here. We've seen that multiple times here. Should be getting his top target back in the offense too. Mark Andrews is expected to play in this game here. The Carolina Panthers are just an absolute mess at this point here. So I think that Lamar Jackson should be able to get back on track here. I know he's got that questionable tag, had some illnesses during the week, but it's supposed to be ready to go in this one here. So I think Jackson is one of the studs to pay up for, because if you're in that range, people are automatically going to be going to Josh Allen. So I think this is a good spot here for Lamar Jackson.
All right, Jeff, so you paid down a little bit at quarterback, but you're going up the board a little more for running back.
Yeah, absolutely. Jonathan Taylor, 7,800. I'm surprised more people aren't trying to jump on this boat. I mean, maybe by game time we'll get a higher ownership percentage than I think in the Millionaire Maker. But, you know, you look at the usage last week with Jeff Saturday as coach, there's basically nobody else taking snaps. I mean, 94% snap rate for Jonathan Taylor. There's no Deion Jackson. There's no more Naheem Hines. It is like Jeff Saturday is pretty much, he laid he laid it down. He said, like, we're giving the ball to Jonathan Taylor in the backfield, which is really smart. That's what you should be doing with your best players. Obviously had a really efficient day. And you look at the Eagles defense last week, they allowed 40 rush attempts to the Commanders. And maybe those rush attempts weren't that efficient, but it's still, I mean, they still allowed the Commanders to move the ball on the ground. So I'd be a little bit worried as an Eagles fan that Jonathan Taylor comes out here, maybe rips off a few big runs. And I just think that the fact that you're getting Taylor with this huge usage at 7,800, I don't even really care about the matchup here. It's just too cheap for a player who looks like he's got some juice back in his legs. And now you've got a head coach who just wants to feed him the ball. I think it's a great spot to take a shot with him and maybe come back on the other side with like a Zach Pascal or like an A.J. Brown to really game stack here.
Yeah, Jeff, over the previous 4 weeks, everyone talks about the Eagles defense being this scary brick wall, but they've actually averaged 120 rushing yards against them to the running back position over the past 4 weeks. No rushing defense is worse than the Texans, which is why you like a guy going up against them today.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of people going on Antonio Gibson because of the PPR upside. But if I'm under the impression that the Commanders are winning this game and they're 3-point favorites in this one, then I probably want to be going with Brian Robinson here. Now, when you look at his yards per carry, it's not anything great here, to be fair. But he just saw a new career high in carries and yards had, 26 and 86 in those games respectively. Now he's getting the cake matchup that we've been targeting all season long, going up against the worst run defense in the league in the Houston Texans here. So I'm not worried about that PPR upside because I think he's going to be getting close to 15 to 20 carries in this game here with the Commanders holding that lead here. Like I mentioned, Houston is the worst in the league. They're one of 3 teams who allowed an average of over 30 points to the running back position, 34 to be exact here. 5,300 for Robinson. I mean, you're almost at the stone minimum at this point for people who do start in a game. So I think Robinson's the way you got to go with this one.
All right, Jeff, at wide receiver, you're going with a guy who really hasn't posted a signature game yet this season, but maybe week 11 could be it for him.
Yeah, you nailed it on the head. Like, he really hasn't broken out with that massive game. I'm talking about T. Higgins here at 7,100. Yeah, and you know, he's had a couple opportunities. Jamar Chase been out of the lineup. Chase is still going to be out here. This might be the last time that we see Higgins without Chase, but it's going up against the Steelers. And T. Higgins against the Steelers, 4 career games, 4.5 receptions, 71.8 yards, and 0.5 touchdowns. Those are pretty solid numbers on their own, but 2 of those games have involved 100 yards or more and a touchdown. This Steelers defense in the secondary, it's just not good. Second most fantasy points allowed to the wide receiver position. He's out-targeted Tyler Boyd consistently, too, over the last 2 games, 14 to 11. He just remains as the wide receiver 1, the main target here for Joe Burrow. And again, he's attached to a quarterback in Joe Burrow who's thrown for 16 touchdowns and 2 interceptions only since that week 1 debacle against the Steelers. I mean, you know, at some point, all those touchdowns are going to go to T. Higgins, the number 1 wide receiver in this offense. This is the perfect spot to do it against the weak cornerback core in the Pittsburgh Steelers. I think T. Higgins, he'll get ownership, but he does, again, I just think this whole Bengals offense going a tad bit overlooked here in week 11. And I really like T. Higgins. Again, if you're paying down a quarterback with Mariota, save some money, then you can pay up for Higgins and Taylor.
Love that play.
Yeah, you like that play. You also really like Stephon Diggs, who's had 100 receiving yards in 4 of his last 5 games. The one game he didn't do it, he had 93 receiving yards.
Yeah, we're talking about the change in venue here. They're in a controlled environment. They don't have to worry about any elements here. So now you have one of the highest projected totals on this slate here. I mean, he's averaging almost 26 DraftKings fantasy points per game. He's gone over 100 receiving yards in 6 of the 9 games that he's played. A touchdown in 5 of those games. He had that multiple touchdown game earlier in the year. And then the matchup that he has in coverage is just not imposing at all. And whether he's going up against Denzel Mims or he's going up against Martin Emerson, like there's not a matchup here that Diggs can't beat. So I get that he's expensive, but this is a spot where you do want to pay up for Stephon Diggs. And again, if you're in that range too, I think a lot of attention is going to go to Justin Jefferson because he's just on a tremendous tear right now. And there's nothing wrong with playing Justin Jefferson this week, but I want to get some exposure here to Stephon Diggs in this matchup here, especially in the new venue.
I mean, we talked about earlier this week, though, like the Browns have actually done a shockingly good job against wide receiver 1s this season. They've given up the 3rd least fantasy points per game to them.
Until this week.
Until this week, that's what I'm saying. That's why we have you guys here. Jeff Ulrich, speaking of possibly risky plays, at tight end, Kyle Pitts, really?
Oh boy, sell me on this one.
Come on,
sell me on this
Mariota
one.
with someone, man. Let's go for the gusto here. You got to go for the win. I know that every analyst in the NFL has tried to predict the Kyle Pitts breakout, and I'm going to throw my hat in the ring here for week 11. But at some point, the numbers it's just too much. You've got to take a shot here. First of all, we've got a Bears defense. They've essentially allowed close to an average of 40 points against over the last 3 games. So, you know, like Atlanta's going to score some points here. The Bears offense is pushing the pace now of these games. There's going to be more dropbacks from Marcus Mariota. Kyle Pitts' numbers are just, I mean, air yards, you know, second overall or first overall in the league, you know, second overall in terms of team air yards share at 33.1%, ADOT of 13.7. All the downfield targets are there. They just got to put it together. At some point, they will do it. And you know, I've read about the Bears. Oh, they got okay safeties. Kyle, the matchup here doesn't matter. They just got to get on the right, you know, page book here with Marcus Mariota. And I think that the Bears not bringing a ton of pressure up the middle, I think that's actually going to give Mariota just a couple extra seconds here, even just a couple milliseconds in the pocket to potentially get Kyle Pitts the ball. I really do think this is a really good week to take a shot on Kyle Pitts. We've got a banged up core at tight end anyways. Like, which stud are you really going to trust? I think the sentiment is so low on Kyle Pitts. Again, if you're using Mariota, I mean, Kyle Pitts, Mariota costing you under 10K to start lineups. You can really build awesome stacks there with that cheap of a quarterback and tight end stack.
He's not wrong on that point.
Yeah,
He's not wrong on that point.
The Bears defense is giving up an average of, I think, 9 or a little under 9 fantasy points a game to the tight end position. So again, we'll see if it pays off for you, Jeff Ulbrich. You're going even further down the salary board, $3,500. Guys actually pumped out some pretty good production for that price point.
Yeah, Hayden Hurst at $3,500 really is someone that goes overlooked in this Bengals offense. Is he going to get you like one of those huge double-digit games? Probably not. Yeah. But that being said, he's got 15 receptions over his last 3 games. He's just someone that should see an uptick in targets while Jamar Chase is out here. People are going to gravitate to guys like Tyler Boyd and T. Higgins, and that's totally fine. But if you're looking for someone that can get you, maybe in right under that range of double-digit fantasy points, not going too crazy on the board here too, I think Hurst is that guy, especially Cole Kmet's going to get a lot of steam this week. Obviously, he's been one of the best guys in that Bears offense as of late, but in that same range, I think Hurst is someone you can consider in this matchup that could feature a lot of points when all is said and done between the Bears and the Bengals and the Steelers.
All right, so we're running tight on time. We cannot talk about DST, but I know Jeff was going to push the Lions on you. You were going to push the Cowboys. Everyone, right now, Jeff, have your primetime picks ready to go, by the way, coming up. And next time we see you, you're going to be wearing a costume. Which should be.
I always seem to do that. I cosplay a lot on this show.
Or you're choking on.
I never asked for it either. Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, let's go back over to the desk. We had Josh and Jesse standing by. They're going to little mix of football and football.
Yeah, the World Cup officially kicked off about 30 minutes ago. Home country of Qatar taking on Ecuador. Currently 2-0 in favor of Ecuador. But in the spirit of the World Cup, we thought we'd tie that in, football with American football, okay? So, Josh, looking at this first batch of games, okay? U.S. takes on Wales in their first match tomorrow. They're plus 155 to win. That's a similar line to the Texans, who are plus 140 in a home game against the Commanders. Commanders coming off an emotional win over Philly, so could, Houston maybe sneak in a win here? What do we think?
So as an American, red, white, and blue, Jesse, I feel like I got to take USA in this one. I'll lean USA just for kind of the rooting interest of being an American. My whole reason, it's not that I love USA in this spot. It's that I don't really have much faith in the Houston Texans getting a win here, Jesse. If you look at kind of the way this line has moved, the Commanders opened like -2.5, immediately got hit up to 3. They're really juiced up -3, -120. Looks like it may be getting up to -3.5. A couple things going on here. Number one, do the Texans really want to win games? They're 1-7-1. And by the way, if you're looking, I know it's an NFL show, we're always looking at the draft upcoming. C.J. Stroud right now is plus 185 to be the number 1 overall pick. I think the Texans want to keep losing, get Stroud the number 1 pick. I don't know if they're sold on Davis Mills. I'll go USA, red, white, and blue.
All right, one of the world's most famous athletes, Messi. You just have to say Messi. You know exactly who we're talking about. Leads the Argentinians into their first matchup against Saudi Arabia. Minus 575 favorites to win that one. That is almost as big of a line as Lamar Jackson and his Ravens, who are minus 675 on the money line in their matchup versus the Panthers. Sheesh. Are the Ravens possibly in danger of an upset here, or can they take care of business?
So I feel like they take care of business. I mean, this is a huge line here. It opened like -12. You're up to -12.5, 13. One note here, Mark Andrews just got cleared, so he will be playing today. But here's the other thing. If you're betting -500s, -600s, you're going to win a lot, but you're not going to make much money because you're risking so much. It's really kind of a juice. The juice isn't worth the squeeze in terms of these big numbers. One note with Baltimore, though, keep an eye on the under in this game. 44 down to 41.5. 15-mile-per-hour winds. I could see like a 28-7 kind of game. I'd lean toward neither number because they're too high.
Okay. Oh, okay. Neither number. All right. Brazil favorite to win the World Cup at plus 350. They are favored to win their opener over Serbia at minus 230. Those odds are similar to the Chiefs' odds, as they are also minus 230 favorites on the money line on the road in LA against the Chargers. So Mahomes and company here, they could take a 3-game lead in the AFC West with a win here, Josh. I mean, can they get it done in LA? Seems like an easy yes.
It seems like an easy yes. I'll go Brazil, though, Jesse. To me, it's a stacked team here. Both minus 230s. They're bigger numbers. They're not as bad as the ones we just talked about, the minus 500, minus 600. It's not that I love Brazil more than KC. It's just KC, they have a bunch of injuries today. Juju Smith-Schuster, McCole Hardman are out. They're going to lean on some other wide receivers here. Obviously, Mahomes is fantastic. But that game actually opened KC at 1 point, laying 7. You're down to 5.5. The line is moving toward the Chargers there. They're going to get Mike Williams and Keenan Allen back most likely. And Herbert is 4-1 ATS historically there against Kansas City. So I'll go Brazil in that one over KC.
All right, almost all the time we have. So before we wrap, we thought we would just let you take a shot here at picking a World Cup tournament winner. Who's it going to be?
It's really chalky here, but I'm going to go Brazil. They're looking at them right now. They're plus 350. And when I'm looking at betting on sports, I lean on different sources. Like college basketball right now is great. If you lean on Ken Pomeroy, he's a great analytics guy. One person who doesn't get a lot of credit in the sports world is Nate Silver, 538.com. He's been really good in his team here at predicting different sports. He had the Celtics, like one of the best teams in the league before they got really hot last year. People were like, how do you have the Celtics higher than these other teams? The analytics really love them. So one thing I looked at with the 538 projections here is that Brazil, best odds by far to win this thing, 22%. There's no other team even close to that. Next one would be Spain at 11%. I'll go Brazil. It's chalky, plus 350. See if they can win it all.
All right, good stuff, Josh. We're going to have more on that Monday night matchup between the 49ers and Cardinals, plus tonight's Chiefs-Chargers game. We'll talk more about that, but we are not done with the World Cup. Clint Dempsey, the man, the myth, the legend, you can see him on all the Fox coverage. He was here at DraftKings headquarters, and he caught up with Emerson Latzia. Let's take a look.
All right, so Japan's kind of like a dark horse. Are there any other like long shots you could see? I mean, not to necessarily even win it, but maybe one that could make a run and maybe bust some brackets here?
Yeah, I think some that would surprise some people that are not familiar with CONCACAF. I think Canada. They have a strong team. They have two strong number 9s in David and Kyle Larin, who showed during the World Cup qualifying process that they were a handful. I think they're a team that can upset a lot of people and go on a run.
What about Brazil? Like, I don't think it's a shocker to see Brazil as the favorite here, but I mean, you know the sport better than anybody else on the planet. Like, are they really head and shoulders better than everybody else in this field?
I mean, the two top teams for me are Brazil and Argentina. I think they're the two teams that they're going to win it. It's theirs for the taking. They're playing really well, and the quality that they have in their team. So those are the teams that stand out for me.
You know the last time Brazil failed to advance out of the first group stage, what year that was? It was 1966, and there were only 16 teams in the tournament, man. They're so
crazy.
damn good. Even Lionel Messi the other day was like, yeah, I'm taking Brazil. Like, he didn't even mention like his own team.
But I think there's a crazy stat out there that the team that normally goes into the World Cup that's ranked number 1 or the favorites is a team that never wins. So it'd be interesting to see, as them being seen as the favorites, are there a team that's going to break that and be able to get it done?
Yeah, because I think about like Croatia, right? Was that 2018? Like they were such a long shot that year. This is a fact I found like an hour ago, that they weren't even in FIFA 18 until like a month before the World Cup.
Oh,
like
wow.
No one expected anything from Croatia in 2018.
Yeah. But that's what you love about tournaments.
Oh, it's fantastic.
You need to have that. You need to have the upsets, the Cinderella teams, the things that you don't expect. That's what makes it why everybody wants to watch it.
I know your playing days are over here, but what have you been doing now to keep busy in your free time?
Well, I have
besides hang out here at DraftKings and raid our swag closet.
Exactly, man. I'm all suited up, but I have 5 kids, so they keep me pretty busy running up the roads. They're all involved in the game, so it's fun being able to take them to games. But in my free time, I enjoy golfing, fishing, and hunting, and being outdoors.
Okay, what other projects you got going on right now?
Well, I do a little bit of analyst work. I've been doing some stuff with CBS and also with Fox. With Fox, I'll be going over to Qatar and working the World Cup, so that'll be fun.
Okay. And you're not getting out of here. You're not getting out of here without giving us a prediction. Let's go. Clint Dempsey, who is going to win the World Cup? Pressure is on right now.
It's on. We talked about it earlier. The two teams I said was Brazil and Argentina, but I think the better story would be Argentina because it'd be Messi's last World Cup, and I think it'd be his 1,000th game if he gets to the final. And I think what better story than to have him win the World Cup with Argentina on his 1,000th game, and they haven't done it since 1986. So
damn, look at this. It's almost like you've been doing your homework, like preparing to cover the World Cup.
Exactly. That's what you got to do.
You just wrote a Hollywood script right here,
There we go.
man.
Let's make the movie.
That was perfect. Hey, thanks for hanging out with us,
yes,
man.
Sir. Appreciate you.
Safe travels over there, and we'll be looking forward to hearing you call these games on Fox.
Sounds good. Appreciate you.
All right, final 2 games of this Week 11 slate. They're tasty ones, Jesse Cofield. So you got the Chiefs at the Chargers tonight. Look at KC, 8-1 ATS in the last 9 games against the Chargers in LA. By the way, Chiefs are also trying to win their 9th straight game on the Chargers home field.
Delectable.
Oh my gosh, my belly is so full. It's going to be even fuller tomorrow night. 49ers and the Cardinals in Mexico City. Let's go.
Scrumptious.
Ooh, you boys like Mexico?
Woo!
All right, let's get some prime time picks. DFS and sports betting from Jeff Ulrich.
Starting tonight, Chiefs visiting the Chargers. Jeff, who's your captain?
Yeah, and I think that if the Chiefs are going to go to, like 9-0 or whatever they're against the Chargers on their home turf, they're going to run the ball a lot. And I'm going to go down the board here, something I don't usually do for captain, but looking at Isaiah Pacheco as a potential captain's pick, 10,200. There's a lot of different things going on here, but teams against the Chargers have averaged 37 rush attempts over their last 3 meetings. I mean, this is just a team you can run on. It's a funnel to the run defense. They allow well over 5 yards per carry. Pacheco, 16 carries in his last game. When he has gotten 10 or more carries this year, he has gone well over 60 yards. I know it's a little risky, but I really feel like this is a player who's probably due for a 2-touchdown game. It's the perfect spot to do it. And for DFS, it just lets you fit in all those studs. This is a game where we got a ton of stars, perhaps both wide receivers back for the Chargers. Pacheco in a really high upside spot for touchdowns, and I think he's a good DFS captain because of the flexibility he gives you as well.
Yeah, just had a career high 16 carries against Jacksonville.
Yeah, I know. Well, hey, you know what?
Yeah.
I feel fine today because Jacksonville
Rough.
can't lose. They're just finding dead rodents in all their concession stands.
It's Emerson's best Sunday since the start of the year.
Yeah, indeed. Stress-free Emerson today. You're obsessed with Pacheco because you're also looking at him for your best bet today?
Yeah, this is definitely, this is just the Pacheco segment.
Yep.
You can go the alt line on the DraftKings Sportsbook. And again, I mentioned when Pacheco has gotten 10 or more carries this year, he's gone over 60 yards. The alt lines here for Isaiah Pacheco, 75 yards or more, plus 195, 100 yards or more, plus 500. Clyde Edwards-Helaire didn't get any carries. He didn't touch the ball. He got 4 snaps in the last game. Andy Reid is clearly committed to Pacheco. Now you've got a rush defense that stinks. I mean, Pacheco put up over 70 yards against the Jags, who were trending as one of the best rush defenses in the NFL. I think that the Chiefs are going to have a rush-heavy plan here with Pacheco. I like these numbers a lot. So you can ladder bet this, but even just at the plus 195, over 75 yards, I think he gets a lot of usage here. And again, he is a player who we've seen between the tackles, when he gets those 10 to 15 carries, he's going to be very effective.
All right, let's head south of the border for San Fran and Arizona and Mexico City tomorrow night. Jeff, you're captaining another guy here you're going down the board a little bit for.
Yeah, I mean, again, you look at this game, there's a lot of different names involved, and we have some questionable marks on the Arizona Cardinals. Kyler Murray, obviously, DeAndre Hopkins, but I think the constant here is going to be Rondale Moore being heavily involved again. We don't mind if Case Keenum starts with Rondale Moore. What did we see between these two in the last game? We saw a ton of targets, 13 targets for Rondale Moore against a weaker secondary. And against the wide receiver position, San Francisco 49ers, they've allowed the second most fantasy points over the last 4 weeks. This is the exact opposite of the Chargers. They're a funnel to the pass kind of defense. The wide receivers have really eaten them up. You've got Rondale Moore in that classic slot role for the Cardinals. We saw Christian Kirk eat there in recent years. Now you've got Keenum, a guy who does not want to throw downfield, going to be relying on Moore, who's a great after-the-catch receiver. I think it's a good spot, regardless of who starts, for Rondale Moore, a cheap player. That'll let you fit in the San Francisco studs on the other side. I do like San Francisco in this game. But again, you captain Moore. He's really getting a huge target share here. Can let you slide in McCaffrey, even Garoppolo on the other side into your flex.
We know you like San Francisco for this game because they're part of your favorite bet for this one. So quickly, Jeff.
Yeah, look, San Francisco, money line plus over 43.5 points. The San Francisco offense has been coming to life. They've averaged well over 24 points on their own over the last 2 games. And then you take the money line, you add it in on the DraftKings Sportsbook, you combo these, you get plus 140. Like this bet, I think San Francisco rolls here easily, and I think they put up enough points to potentially even, I don't want to say cover this on their own, but come close.
All right, Jeff, stay right there because Steve Buchanan is going to throw on the judge's robes and become Judge Bukes, ruling on the best sportsbook plays of Week 11.
We like to have fun here on Sundays. We always do. We actually have fun here Monday through Friday, 11 o'clock Eastern time. Here's just a little taste of what went down this past week here on The Sweat. How are you? I'm fine, thank you. I'm Emerson Lotzi. I'm hosting this show called The Sweat.
This week on The Sweat.
It is steamy in here. It is chilly outside, but it is steamy in here. We are on a hot stove right now. You want to talk what? Clint Dempsey. It is good to have you here in our DK Boston headquarters studios.
The nasty nutmeg by Dempsey. He trips, he scores on the breakaway.
You're going to be in the booth this time around for the World Cup.
Yes, sir. It's going to be different than being on the field, that's for sure. It's going to be exciting still because you're going to be around the game. Still going to be rooting for the U.S.
So nobody thought the Eagles were going 17-0 this season. I think that's safe to say. But not many people thought it would be the Washington Commanders handing Philly its first loss of the season.
A shout out to Washington. They've changed their defense. Their secondary played extremely well. You got Fuller back there making plays last night.
Pour one out for your boy, Teoscar Hernandez. Blue Jays just traded the outfielder to the Mariners.
His last game as a Blue Jay will be 2 home runs in a playoff game they absolutely blew. against this Seattle Mariners team. So congrats to making one of your rivals a better team.
The Taylor Swift Ticketmaster debacle yesterday. You looked lost until your sister lands tickets for you and the boys?
The most powerful force in the world is my sister with the opportunity to do something potentially expensive.
You know what I want to talk about? This weekend. You said you drove by me walking my dogs. You're in an Uber. Guy doesn't roll the window down and say hello. Guy doesn't tell the Uber to stop so he can get out and say hello to me. Straight up ignores my dogs. Would you like to apologize to my dogs right now? They're watching.
I would love to apologize to your dogs. Your owner is a bit of a pain in the butt, but I'm very excited to meet you guys.
All rise for the Honorable Judge Bukes.
Yeah! All right. So the point of this segment is Jeff and Josh are going to pick a bet from the same game, and then Judge Bukes is going to rule on which one he likes better. Take it away, gentlemen. We're just going to sit over here. You can just ignore us.
Yeah, and this one, guys, my first pick here would be looking at the Colts getting 7. Obviously, the 7 isn't around a lot of books anymore. You're down to 6.5 here. Again, the Eagles have been rolling. They've been looking great. You stub your toe there against the Commanders. But I've been seeing this line move go toward the Colts here Saturday. He's a leader of men, as he likes to say. Taylor is healthy. I'll take the 7 here if you can still find it. Jeff, what do you want on this one?
I'm going big on this one. I'm trying to impress Judge Bukes here. Plus 1,500 for Paris Campbell. Most receiving yards in this game. With Matt Ryan, over the last three starts with Matt Ryan, he's averaged over 10 targets. He's hit over 70 receiving yards in 2 of those 3 games. Give me Paris Campbell plus 1,500. Most receiving yards, Judge Bukes.
Now, you might notice that this is a plastic gavel, and it's because I've been bankrupting this company with my 9-0 bet. So this is all that we can afford. So I'm not going to bang it on anything. But I am ruling in favor of Jeff. The value you're getting at 15-1 on Paris Campbell, who's one of the chalkiest plays this week. Ruling in favor of Jeff.
Oh.
What do we got next?
All right, next one here we got. I'm going to go with the Bears. I'm probably going to get your approval on this one because I'm pretty sure you're Mr. Undefeated best bet here. I'm a little worried that the Bears are a public play. They're getting like 75% of bets. As a contrarian better, I don't really love that. I like to be on the other side. However, the line does seem to be trending toward your best bet here, Steve. Plus 3's juiced up, minus 115, minus 120. Looking like it's getting down to 2.5. I'll take the Bears plus 3. I'm going to bank on Fields having a big day.
Jeff, I'm big on the Bears here, buddy. You got to have to do something here.
Okay, I got to go with someone on the other side. I'm going big again. Kyle Pitts on the alt line, 75 yards receiving or more, plus 425. He's got a 13.7 ADOT. Teams against the Bears have averaged 262 passing yards over their last 3 games as well.
Jeff, your obsession with Kyle Pitts is getting to be a little bit sickening. So I am ruling in favor of Josh, and I am also ruling for you to get a psych evaluation when this slate is over because it's getting really concerning with your thing with Pitts.
I may need it with Paris Campbell and Kyle Pitts.
Well, Paris Campbell's fine. Pitts, I don't know where we're calling him.
Yeah, next one here, Steve. I think you might lean with me on this one as well. Dallas Cowboys. We talked about this one earlier. Fishy number. If the Vikings are an 8-1 team, having this big win here against, obviously, the Bills last week. They won a bunch of games in a row. Dallas lost outright as a 3.5-point road favorite there against the Packers. Then why on earth are the Cowboys -2? Again, I think a lot of people would say wrong team favored. However, odds makers seem to be taking position on Dallas. Give me Dallas on the money line. Fade the trendy dog. Let's go, boys.
Jeff, unless you have something with Justin Jefferson, I don't know here.
There ain't no decision to be made because my bet is Dallas Cowboys money line here. Top 10 rush DVOA, top 10 pass DVOA. You just throw your gavel away, pal, and just agree with both of us. Take the Cowboys on the money line today.
I mean, it's a coward's way out, but I guess we'll accept that one. Okay. What else?
Last one, New York Jets and the Patriots. 2 divisional games here. Second time around. Remember the Patriots won at the Meadowlands. They covered. It was 22-17. Both teams coming off a bye. This one's difficult because you have the record of the Patriots. 13, 14 in a row here against the Jets. So it feels like they're just going to have another one here today. Wilson, what's his over-under interceptions prop? I'd look at that too.
2.5?
I hate it, but I got to go Jets 3.5 divisional spot. Jeff, tell me why I'm wrong.
Yeah, please.
I did not want to bet on either one of these teams. I didn't even want to look at this game, but I found a field goal kicker prop for you. Nick Folk, 1.5 field goals made, -110. He's made 2 field goals or more in 3 of 4 home games, and teams against the Jets have made 3 field goals or more in each of their last 3 games as well. So give me Nick Folk over 1.5 field goals in this game.
Okay, so you have a disgusting bet. You have a stupid bet. We're going to end this segment with no ruling at all. The court is adjourned. I don't ever want to see this again. This segment is done. We're going to give it back to these fancy folks over here.
It's a mistrial. It's a mistrial.
There we go.
Order!
No, this isn't Old England. All All right, that's going to do it for our Week 11 edition of The Sweat. Thank you, all of you, for watching.
Yes.
Enjoy the games. We'll be back next Sunday. We're also here during the week at 11 a.m. Eastern Time. You're not
true.
here tomorrow. But.
No. But I'll be here Tuesday, and you'll be here Wednesday, and then we're going to eat a bunch of food.
Woo!
See you next
next
Sunday.
week.
Adios.
Court is adjourned.
Hello, sir.
Thank you very much.
It was a mistrial. All right.
Yeah, Judge. Yeah.
Jury 10.